What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Diesel Creek. My name's Matt. Behind me is an area of my farm that I'd like to not look like a junkyard anymore. So when I got this property about 10 years ago, this was a blank slate of property. There was absolutely nothing here from the road all the way to the back of the property. No development had been done. There was some really old logging roads that were here from back in the 50s, but they were pretty well overgrown and hardly recognizable anymore. So one of the first things I did was start working on building my driveway all the way down from the road to inside the wood line here, because the field we fenced in and tried to keep nice. We don't want to tear up the field. So just inside the wood line here, I needed a place to start, you know, I think it first started as just a place to turn my truck around once I got down in here. So start bringing the road in here. I started taking down some trees, thinning things out, opening things up, and this became my my little landing right inside the woods here. So whenever I would bring anything in, this is the first place it would come to. Now over the years, this area has changed and expanded quite a bit here, and more stuff just keeps piling up here and kind of growing into the edges, and I do not like that. I don't want stuff buried back in the weeds. I go out and find equipment and save it from the weeds, so to see it sitting here on my own property in the weeds kind of irritates me. So the focus of today's episode is going to be to reclaim my little landing here in the woods. I'm standing on a big pile of millings, which I'm not quite ready to spread yet, but this pile is eventually going to be gone. You can't see it for all the weeds that are piled on top of it here, but there's actually a pretty big pile of dirt right here that came from a soft spot when I dug my driveway. If you go way back on the channel, when I very first started doing YouTube, there was a video of me starting this driveway and carrying it all the way back through the woods, and there was a big wet area right here. So I pulled all that wet material out and threw it over here, and put dry, good rock down in there and everything, and continued on. But that pile of dirt never went anywhere. It's still been sitting here for all these years. So I definitely want to get this pile of dirt moved out of the way here. There are some old farming implements over here in the bushes that you can't see. We got to get those things out of the way. Over here from left to right, first thing we have hiding over there on the edges is a little deck over equipment trailer that I picked up a while back with the International Lodestar. I actually have that trailer sold to a buddy of mine. He just has yet to come out and grab it and do anything with it. Next to that, we have the F800 crane truck that I got from the auction a while back. There's a whole video series on that thing down in the description if you're interested. Over here we have an International 4900 parts truck, which is the good parts for my dump truck. And then we've got the Volkswagen Rabbit that I did a video on a while back. And then I don't know that I've ever showed this guy in a video, but that is another International 454 gas utility tractor. And of course you can see it has a loader on it. I bought that thing primarily for the loader and some other miscellaneous parts to fit my tractor, but it's pretty well clapped out. I don't know if I'm ever really going to do anything with it, but it's good parts if I need them. I just want to square this whole area away and get things looking nice again, so it's not just like you know, stuff scattered about. After we get this area organized a bit, my old Unit 1020 dragline has been sitting over here since the very last video on it. I brought it home, parked it there, and it has yet to move again, so it's not in the best place. So I want to see if it's going to fire up, and hopefully we can pull it over here and put it in line with all this other stuff. So in the process of cleaning up around here, I also want to fix up these few low spots we have. There's a low spot up there that holds water, these guys right here, and it just makes it a muddy mess. So I'm gonna try to dry this whole area out after everything's organized here. So you might not believe it, but I actually drove this truck right to where you see it sitting. It's got a really nice, good running, under 100,000 mile DT466 in it. As I said, I drove it here and I had to borrow all the tires and wheels off of it. So I have some other ones here that hold air good enough, and I can hopefully stick them back on the truck and make this truck easier to move around should I have to move it. It also keeps it up off the ground further, which keeps it from deteriorating faster, I guess, which is probably a moot point at this point. Still got that classic belt squeal. I should have known that things weren't going to go smoothly on this. Nothing ever does. I was scoping the crane out at the same time I was lowering the ball. You do that, you shouldn't really expect the cable to rapidly drop much, so sometimes it appears like it's not even moving as you're scoping out and letting down at the same time. But I turned and looked all of a sudden, and I had cable unspooling and everything, so something's gone all the way up there at the sheave, and it's not allowing the cable to come out anymore. So we're gonna have to let that down and figure out what's going on. Normally you wouldn't let slack come into your line either out there, but we already have slack in our line up top. All right, we can get over there and actually see what's going on now. Well, didn't take me long to find the problem. You see the cable's nicely over top of this first sheave, and down here it's not. The cable has somehow found its way between the sheave and the side of the boom here, so that's not good. Yeah, I don't think I'd have gotten that by hand. That sucker was in there. Apparently I didn't press record, but I picked up the Volkswagen out of there and took it out of the way. I'm gonna mow this area down right now, get rid of all these big thorn bushes that are starting out. All right, well, things are starting to shape up around here. Before I put anything back in this area, I'm going to take that dirt pile over there and carry it over here and just kind of start pushing out this flatter area a little bit, just kind of filling in on that slope. All right, well, it's the next day. I've got a few things put back here in place, starting to look like a little more orderly around here. So I kind of cut this little road back here, and I had some wood chips my buddy dropped off. And everybody always says to use wood chips for roads like this, and I just spread them out here because I had them and because I don't plan on really ever using this little pathway. I mean, it might be a decent little tractor road at some point, but basically this is just a way to get rid of these wood chips. The people that say to use them for roads, like, they work for a pathway, they keep you out of the mud for the time being, but really all these end up doing long term is holding more moisture into the ground, and once they start to rot, they just turn into more sloppy topsoil. So they really don't help anything long term, they end up hurting you. But for where I put them, it doesn't matter. But all that dirt we moved came over here, and I built out this little flatter area so we can get some more flat room to stick the trucks and stuff back here. The last piece of equipment we have to move here will be the Unit 1020 dragline, and this thing has not been fired up since I brought it in here over a year ago. So yeah, we'll get a battery and some gasoline and see what happens. Look at that big spider. Alright, so this thing is about as bare bones gets. Hook the battery connections up here. This thing just dips down into the fuel tank, and then hopefully it fires up. Alright, check the oil. Yeah, we're a little teeny bit low, but not bad at all. There we go. That's the whole fuel cell. Yep, we have antifreeze down in there. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's in there. As you guys can see, the sheet metal has seen some better days in this machine. In fact, the whole machine has seen some better days. But one of these days, it'll get put into the shop, and we're going to go through it and get it looking better and functioning even better. Let's see if I remember how to start this thing. Throttle. The throttle's moving pretty good. I think forward is more throttle. Choke. Seems to be working. I'm not hearing the fuel pump click on. We have engine start. Why are we not hearing a fuel pump? This twisted connection down here with no electrical tape on it or anything. I just touched it and it kicked on now. Well, it did. Oh yeah, that seems fine. A little bit of gas leaking out of the connection. Probably nothing to worry about. Let's see if this thing's gonna fire up. As you can see, it's got quite a muffler on it. Contact. No dice so far. We'll try it and give it a whiff of ether here. Might be looking at a lack of spark issue here. Oh, no, try to go that time, I think. Or the starter's just messing up on the flywheel. Alright, so with the ignition on, we got 11.56 to the coil. That's enough to start it. Let's go ahead and check those points because they're probably just dirty. So I pulled off our cap and rotor here. It doesn't look too bad. I'll give it a little shine up just because I have it apart. It only takes a split second. So I got our contactor nice and clean on the rotor. I'm gonna try to get in here and clean these points up. So all we gotta do to clean these things up, spread them up a little bit there. I run this points file back and forth through them a couple dozen times. It should be good to go. Well, with that done, this thing should fire up now. Should. You guys ready? Contact. Anticlimactic contact. Well, of course, 2 seconds after I shut the camera off, the fuel pump cut out and thus stalled the engine. And I played around with this connection, and I think it's the actual pump. I think the pump went bad. That connection still seems to be doing what it's intended to do. Nothing's ever easy. All right, so we're rapidly ramping up professionalism around here. I didn't have a spare fuel pump, so I just rigged up a temporary tank here. Not that we weren't already running off a temporary tank. But the difference is this one's gravity feed, so I have no idea if the float works in the carburetor. So yeah, we could just be pouring fuel straight down the throat hole. So I'm gonna try to get this thing fired up before we flood it out. Contact. That's interesting. Now, there's nothing hooked up to the other end of that fuel line. That's where this tank was before. But as soon as I started cranking it, it started spouting out fuel. Well, it wants to go. Try giving her some choke here. she doesn't seem to have enough power to move anywhere out of this spot on her own. I'm gonna have to wait for a little drier day just because I don't want to make a big mess. So maybe tomorrow or the next day I can bring the dozer over here with the winch on it and get it out of this spot, and hopefully after that it'll move on to its own power. It drove all the way here. Speaking of which, if you guys haven't seen the video on this Unit 1020, it's back a ways on the channel, but I'll leave the link for it down in the description. Well, we got this thing dragged out of where it's been sitting. Hopefully it's got enough power to move on its own from here on out. What a lineup, huh? Man, that took some doing to get that thing over there, but man, once you get it on a straight line, it tracks pretty good. So one thing that's going to happen here, because this is just dirt bombed in here, and it's not even good dirt, it's just topsoil. The machine's already sunk in probably 3 or 4 inches, but hopefully it's not going to sit here too long, so that won't be an issue. It's not like it's going to sink out of sight or anything, it's just sitting in a depression. But one thing happened while we were running it over here that I noticed, and I've never seen anything like this before. You guys have to tell me in the comments if you've ever seen this. That spark plug right there is rotted through and allowing compression from the cylinder to escape. You see how the rest of these plugs all have dust and dirt and debris around them? I didn't blow that one out. It did that all on its own. That's engine compression coming right up through there and blew all the dust and dirt out there. That's why it's got this carbon already built up on the head. So I'm hoping that I can get this spark plug out of here without snapping it off. But it's looking pretty crappy down there. Probably hard for you guys to tell on camera, but there's actually 4 farm implements down in there. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you guys drop a comment down below, tell me what you think is hiding in the bushes right here. I don't think you guys can make it out too well through the bushes. Okay, take your guesses. First implement's about to come out of the brush there. All right, I'm sure a lot of you guys already know what these things are, but for those of you who don't, there's 4 different implements here, as I said. This is an early International McCormick 2-row corn planter. This guy over here is a toe behind, 2-bottom plow. And this guy right here is a very early John Deere number 4 toe behind sickle bar mower. I believe these were originally intended to tow behind mules or horses, and then eventually I think they probably got converted to for behind tractors. But it's all self-propelled, which runs the sickle bar right there. And the 4th one is another 2-bottom planter, or 2-row planter rather. So I got these off of a job a long time ago. I tore down a barn, which I actually saved the barn. It's out in the field over there, and intended on rebuilding it right here, but never got to it. The barn's long rotted away, and these guys here, they were pretty much just junk at the time. The guy told me to take them for scrap, but I couldn't stand to scrap them. So yeah, now they're here. They're basically good lawn art at this point. Somebody will probably buy them off me for next to nothing and paint them up and put them in their garden or something. But as you guys could see there, the old thorn bushes were really overtaking those things, and you could barely see them in there at all. So I'm glad to get those things yanked out of there, and now we're gonna finish cleaning up. I actually had those sitting on some really big pallets at the time, and they're pretty much rotted away. And that was only 5 or 6 years ago, maybe 7 at the most. So yeah, anyway, I'm gonna finish picking up. I got some fence posts and stuff. We're gonna finish picking that stuff up, try to clean these pallets up without knocking them apart and dropping nails everywhere, and then try to grub out all these rose bushes so that yeah, we have a clean slate again. Nest on the property in the last 2 years. These things are vicious. It's a good time to have an air-conditioned enclosed cab on the machine. right, well, would you look at that? Cleaned up and reorganized here. That is a nice transformation. This whole area, man, that's night and day difference. That makes me feel a lot better. That was one of those things that just kind of made my skin crawl every time I'd look at it. So I'm glad I tackled that. I really hate to spray any more chemicals on the ground than I need to, but I might just kind of spray a little bit of ground clear right around those implements for a while and try to keep that from growing for a little bit. But I'm concerned it's gonna start killing my trees, which I don't want. So if you guys know of any good remedies to that, you know, something I could spray that would keep the ground cover stuff to a minimum and not harm my trees, let me know down in the comments. This stuff over here really wasn't worth moving all over the place. I just weed whacked around it as best I could. I couldn't really get over in this corner because there's a big ground bee nest over there, I think you guys saw. So I'm staying away from that because I don't like bees. But this stuff over here, that sure looks a lot better. It's nice and evenly spaced. It's all in a nice straight line. That makes me feel a lot better. Organization can make even a junkyard look a lot nicer, so I feel good about that. As for the grade here, I played around and I'm just drying out this dirt right now because it's actually been pretty wet. You guys probably can't tell on camera, but there's actually water seeping out of this. Well, I don't know if it's the pile or under the pile, if there's like maybe a spring that the pile is on top of, but I don't remember this area ever being wet before. So there's been water leaching out of this pile since I put it here though. So I'm gonna get this pile moved in the next video and hopefully we can dry out the whole area and regrade this thing. But as of right this minute, all I have to do is just pack this all back down because I have it just toothed up right now so it dries. But it is all sloped and graded so that most of the water is going to run that direction. And then there's kind of like a little break running right from that tree over to this wet spot. The water that's on that side of that break will run down that way. And the water that comes in on this side of the break will run down towards those culvert pipes down there. The only other thing that I have here that I don't have cleaned up yet is this pile of old pallet debris here. I don't want to just burn this. A, it's got a good bit of dirt mixed into it at this point. And B, it's full of nails because it was pallets. So I don't want to just shove it over a hill somewhere and let it rot away because there's going to be a bunch of nails left over for years. So I'm getting a dumpster brought in here actually for something else. So I might just put this all into a dumpster because I don't know what else to do with it. Once that pile of wood's accounted for, all that leaves is this big old pile of millings that we're standing on, and that's right where this video is going to leave off and the next one is going to pick up. So in the next video here, we are going to work on spreading that entire pile of millings all the way down my driveway here, and finally, after like 5 or 6 years, top coating my driveway. So that'll, I wish I would have done that a long time ago because it would have made the driveway hold up a lot better to all the dirt hauling I did when we put the building pad in, but is what it is. So we're going to be spreading the millings, and we're going to be using Christine, the Galleon 503 grader that I restored a while back on the channel. We're going to be using her to lay down the millings nice and flat, and I'm going to work on honing my skills on the blade. Second thing I got, if you like any of the music that you ever hear in the channel here, all that music is custom made by my buddy Vinnie over at the Semi-Supervillains. The link to his channel is down in the description. If you haven't been over there, head over there, check out his channel. He's got some great tunes over there, and he does an awesome job creating some custom one-off music. So the only place you'll ever hear this stuff is on this channel. Lastly, guys, if you like the channel and you want to help support it and you want to do that in style, head on over to dieselcreek.com, pick yourself up an awesome hat, t-shirt, koozie, sticker pack, whatever it is. We got it over there at the store. You'll be helping out support the channel and help me to keep doing what I'm doing here, and you'll be looking stylish in the process. Anyways, that's all I got. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.